Home Alone came out in 1990, and this year it turns 30 years old. And as we seem to be doing this every single month, I am joined by Chris from FilmSock. Chris, how are you?
I'm doing great. You have the paint can. You're lucky. I really wish I had that set. I've got the steelbook right here. Um, this is my favorite Christmas movie of all time. I'm just gonna say that up front.
Whoa,
Yeah.
that's some pretty high stakes. It's probably number three, I think. This one battles with Elf for number three for me, but trust me, you'll see that we both very much love this movie. But let's just get straight into it. What are your first, memories or special moments that you relate to this film with?
Yeah. So when I was younger, there was this rental store called Hollywood Video. They had Blockbuster and Hollywood Video. So I'd go to Hollywood Video and I would look through the aisles, and I always remember seeing this artwork right here, Kevin's face, where he's going, ah. There's like a poster. They had that and Home Alone 2 next to each other, and Home Alone 3. And I would always rent, or I would always ask to rent it, and then I had to wait till I was like 5 or 6, like not even that old. And then me and my brother watched Home Alone 1 and 2, and I loved it. And then I got the DVD for Christmas of the first Home Alone, and I would take that on car trips. We had a portable DVD player. I would take that on car trips, no matter what the time of year was. So it could be June, and I'd be watching Home Alone. It's a movie that I think is hilarious, and yes, I've watched it so many times. That's my memory is watching it on those car rides and going to Blockbuster or Hollywood Video. It's just a very special place in my heart.
Yeah, it's one that I always relate to it, or at least the first one is one that when I think of it, I always think of the scene in the treehouse where he's like, I forget the exact line, where it's like, "You can't catch me, you donkey's ass," or something,
Yeah,
or horse's ass. And
horse's ass.
then,
Yep.
yeah, I was like, that didn't make sense. But, and I remember watching that at my cousin's up north in Ontario, and like we always go there for Christmas. Like every year, we can't this year, sadly. But I always remember that playing on their TV, and my younger cousins just laughing because it's like, "Oh, he said bad word," and it's
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, I'm grade two saying bad word." So it was funny. I always, every time I see that scene, I think about it. And not the first one, but the third one, I remember watching for the first time at my friend Tyson's house. And like at the time, I was like, "Oh, this is so cool." I haven't seen it in a while. But when it comes to the first one, it's one that I watch every single year, and I love it every time. And actually, the more I've watched it over the years, the more I've appreciated the actually great filmmaking behind it.
Yeah, definitely. It's Chris Columbus, I want to say, and I think John Hughes, excuse me, produced it, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So the guy who brought us the first Harry Potter movie and the second, I want to say,
yeah.
directed this, and you can definitely see that in Harry Potter. That's a conversation for another time. But he does such a good job of like bringing you this heartfelt Christmas story that's really about family at its core, but it's got some great comedy in there too with the burglars in the house. Like I laugh so many times in this movie.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll get into that eventually, but there are some hilarious bits throughout Home Alone.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like what I really love about it is that the whole like big slapstick burglar part burglary part only comes in the last 20, 30 minutes of the movie. And there's all this setup through the whole thing. And one of my favorite scenes of the movie, if not my favorite besides the slapstick scene at the end, is a scene with old man Marley, I'm pretty sure that's his name, in the church is easily one of the most heartfelt scenes in all of Christmas movies. Like when I was watching that today, I'm like, this is actually really well done because you have some great performances here, along with John Williams, Oscar nominated music. This is in Home Alone is an Oscar nominated film for best original score, I'm gonna say, and song. That's how good it is, and I truly believe that whenever I hear the bum bum ba-da-dum, da, da, I
I
was
love
like,
that. Yeah.
yes, this is Christmas. When it
Oh
was
yeah.
playing in the credits, I was like, this brings back so many great memories, and it truly like it touches your heart at the end for sure.
It definitely does. The score is outstanding in this movie. And like you were saying, that scene is awesome. It's like very heartfelt when old man Marley's talking about his relationship with his son and how Kevin is like telling him you should see him. And then at the very end, the moment that kind of gets me the most in the feels is when he looks out the window and he sees him with him, and I'm like, oh my gosh! Like I just felt like someone just hugged me. Like I feel so
Yeah.
good. It is so such a sweet moment.
It really is, like, it gives you chills, like, when I was watching it, I was like, "This is so sweet," and I think that Home Alone is it's pulled off flawlessly, like, that's a little bit of spoiler of both of our thoughts on it, but I don't have any problems with this movie at all. Nothing, because I feel like because of Chris Columbus, not Christopher Columbus, Chris Columbus's, direction, it really adds something else that's in some ways more mature because there are some deeper themes inside of it that you notice more as you get older, I think.
Yeah, definitely. His direction is great here. Um, I totally blanked on what I was gonna say there.
So for the performances too, I think that one of the most impressive ones here is Joe Pesci because this was the same year as Goodfellas, and as many of you may know, Goodfellas is one of, if not my favorite movie, like when I'm really thinking about it, it is in the top five for sure. I love Goodfellas, and these came out at the same time. One funny detail I loved, I noticed while last year while rewatching, is that near the end, Kevin's dad's like, Kevin, you're a funny guy. And Chris, I don't know if you've seen Goodfellas. I hope you have.
Oh yeah, I have.
Yeah, okay, good. And obviously, I think everyone knows the "you're funny guy" scene from Goodfellas with Joe Pesci. So like, there's little details like that, and where he's like muttering all these words that you can't say in a kids movie. It's really fun, and that always surprises me that these movies were released. I think very close together. I don't know exactly when Goodfellas was released, but I know Home Alone was in November. So that always impresses me when an actor can do both these things and they're released in the same year, but they're completely different movies. Now, obviously, they're both committing crimes, but it's still different.
I got him right here. Funko Pop. What am I, a
Yeah.
clown? Do I amuse you? What if he said that in this movie? That would just be amazing. If he like pulled that bit out,
Yeah.
that would be
Well,
great.
he does threaten to bite off all of Kevin's fingers at the end, which is quite horrifying when
Yeah,
you think about it.
he does. But bouncing off Pesci, I think he is the best performance in the movie because you know how difficult it must have been for him to not just let the F bomb go every 5 seconds when he's going freaking. He's just muttering like that is hilarious, especially when he falls down the stairs and when he gets blowtorched on the head. There's like tons of moments like that that are just great. And I think that what's the guy Daniel Stern I want to say plays Marv, right? He's
Pretty
great,
sure.
and he's like he's a giant compared to Joe Pesci, but they have
Yeah.
great chemistry together.
Yeah. It's like the movie Twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito. That's I don't know why that just came into my mind, but yeah, Daniel Stern. I'm pretty sure that's it. He is also fantastic here because it takes a lot to play a good dumb character. Like you could just come off as an insanely stupid character and give a bad performance, but here he's really funny because he has a good dynamic with Joe Pesci. And there's so many scenes where it's like, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I like the bit where he walks in through the window and steps on the ornaments, and it's right after Joe Pesci got all the stuff on him. He's like, "Why the hell are your shoes off? Why the hell are you dressed like a chicken?" It's just one of those great lines I used to
Yeah,
quote all the
that was
time.
one when I watched today. I actually said that out loud because it's one that's so funny. Or when he just looks up and the iron falls down.
Yeah,
It's so many things. Or the spider or tarantula scene where he's like, Gary, don't move.
and the scream kills me every
Yeah.
time.
Oh yeah, that's one. I think that probably made me laugh out loud the hardest out of the entire movie.
Yeah.
And then Joe Pesci just starts beating him with the crowbar after.
Mhm.
There's so many like they have such good chemistry here. It works well, but I mean, we have to talk about how fantastic Macaulay Culkin is in this movie.
Oh yeah. He is like the poster child of like the 90s, I feel like when it comes to
Yeah.
children actors. And if you look at him now, it's crazy how far Macaulay Culkin's come. But like his performance here is great. He's one of the best. It's one of the best child performances ever. I feel like it's probably if I made a top five, it might be number one, honestly.
It'd be in my top five. I might give number one to Jacob Tremblay in Room, but that's a totally different performance.
Yeah,
Totally,
yeah,
totally separate. But yeah, he has this young like spirit to him throughout the whole thing, and he has these like little like the younger jokes or some of the stuff he says. But then you see him go shopping and he's buying fabric softener. So you see like this mature thing, and it's really funny. Like no clothes on anyone. Sickening. So there's this little lines
yeah.
they're so funny, but they're not just funny for little kids because there's a lot that my 4-year-old cousins can laugh at, but then my uncle who's 40 something can laugh at too, and that's what they found a really good balance in Home Alone.
They definitely did. And bouncing off what you were saying, like yes, he feels mature. Like when he goes and he shops for groceries, that's very funny because it feels adult for a kid. But then there's
Yeah.
moments where he's like scared. Is it like the heater downstairs?
Yeah,
It looks like
yeah.
a monster to him, and he's scared of that. And then of course seeing him be like, I don't know what he says. You're not real, or something like that. there's a line that he gives, I want to say, at
Oh
some
yeah.
point, like
I know
brushes
you're
it off.
thinking about can't. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
like, can't remember the exact line, but I know exactly what you mean. And yeah, but then you have the scenes where he's kind of in the scene in the church scene, he's still saying stuff that younger kids would say. It's just like, oh, why don't you go see him? Like it's like he almost doesn't understand. It doesn't in his younger mind click in. But then when he explains it, you really feel something with this movie. And of course, he's fantastic in these slapstick comedy scenes. He's so funny, and when he's set up all like the Michael Jordan stand up and the blow, I think he's like pulling them. And I always find that really it's such an entertaining movie, but it's really well made too.
I agree. It's a very well made movie. And the use of music too. I know we talked about it, but like the soundtrack, like White
Oh yeah.
Christmas, I think by the Drifters is playing when he puts the aftershave on, which is another moment where he's trying to
Uh,
act super adult. It's just so great. And then even his interactions with like his siblings, like Buzz, your girlfriend, Buzz, woof. Like that's one of the best lines.
Yeah. Or like there's so many lines too that are actually quotable. Like I've heard so many in real life. It's kind of weird. Like when Kevin, you're such a disease,
Yeah.
stuff like that. And there's actually a line from the movie a few years ago in a project I made with my friend. I don't know why, but he would always say, I don't think so. So in our project, I don't know, it was a project science project that we weren't that good at. So we made it funny and it gave us a good grade. So it was funny. And I remember putting in the clip, it was like, I don't think so in it. And I don't know, that's one line that I've always associated with that random moment a few years ago.
Yeah, that's a hilarious little bit at the grocery store there. When it comes to quotes, this movie does have quite a few, like you were saying, but I think that the most iconic quote has to be when Kevin loads up the VHS of Angels with Filthy Souls, and he's like, "I'm gonna give you 10 seconds to get your lousy, rotten, no good keister out my door. I'm gonna pump your guts full of lead." And then he's like,
One, two,
"1, 2,
10.
10," and then he's laughing, and Kevin's just like that, watching through his eyes, and then keep the change, you filthy animal. Like that is the quote I feel like from Home Alone. Do you agree?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Everyone around Christmas season, everyone always calls someone a filthy animal. They do
Oh yeah.
anything, filthy animal. Like I'm gonna call it here. If this happens, I will put it on Instagram. I feel like my gym teacher. We have one more week left for gym. I feel like if there's any talk about Christmas, my gym teacher will call someone a filthy animal. I'm just gonna call it here. I don't know if it's for sure gonna happen, but I feel like there's a high chance of that, or I'll hear it in school for sure because it's so iconic. Home Alone, easily one of the most iconic things. You can't do this without being compared to Home Alone. Like the fact that going like that
Yeah,
compares you to a
exactly.
film from 30 years ago is quite impressive. And it's one that it's not just like, oh, it's a film lovers, Christmas movie. It's one that families and everyone can enjoy. And that's what I think makes it so special is that, as I said before, it appeals to a super wide audience. I don't know anyone who dislikes Home Alone.
Yeah, I know I had one friend at one point who said that he didn't like it. That's it. One. And he said I was just annoyed by how bratty Kevin McAllister was. And I was like, okay, it's still a great movie. And
Yeah.
I mean, he's just, I don't know. I thought they did a good job of writing him early on to show he's ungrateful for his family. And then
Oh,
he
for
loses
sure.
his family. And then he gains an appreciation for him at the end. It's like the full arc. But I
Yeah.
guess some people didn't like that.
Yeah, it's a perfect setup there. Like they have the thing where it's like, I don't want a family. I don't want any family at all. And I'm living alone. He starts
Yeah.
stomping.
Yeah.
And that sets up the one of the final moments where he sees his mom at the end. And I've always loved that, his mom travels with John Candy. I love John Candy and all their band. And then she shows up at the house. Shows up at the house, and like a minute later, the rest of the family comes in on the flight. And I'm just like, you couldn't have waited because they all seem to get there on time. That's one thing that I always laugh at. I'm just like, that's funny. I don't know. It's just ironic. There's a few
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
ironic things with it. And actually, the other family, like besides Kevin and the burglars, the actual family does have some pretty hilarious scenes and some lines like, look what you did, you little jerk, is
Yeah.
one that
That's
another
great.
one that I hear a lot.
Yeah, and what is it like? Take it easy on the Pepsi, Fuller, right?
Yeah, and
Because he,
and he
yeah,
like
and he
stares at
like,
him and
yeah,
smiles.
oh, that's great.
Just like that whole, pizza scene where like the pizza man's trying to get the money and then they're all like, "Oh, Frank, you have money, right? Oh, we'll tip him." There's like it's like little jokes. There's just random like little lines that weirdly you remember. And that's another like big thing about it is that there's just so many little things about Home Alone it just, it improves every single time.
I just started laughing because I thought of this moment that kills me. It's when he's walking and Marv and Harry are in the van following him, and then he like walks in the road, and the van stops like right in front of his face, and he goes ah, and just screams at the top of his lungs. That's great.
Yeah, oh, I love that whole scene, and it was kind of cool. They used the tooth too. Like that's another like just it's like a smart detail. You see that at the end, and then when he when that scene happens, which is absolutely hilarious, and you just see him like smile, and it does a little shine of the tooth, and then they pick it up at the end. It's really funny. There's like little details. Now it's more obvious because it's like a big shine. When it goes off the tooth, it's like
Yeah.
but it's so cool that they have stuff like that in it, and it's one that, like, I do find myself a lot of Christmas movies, I find myself laughing out loud at.
This is one of those for sure for me. And like there's so much attention to detail. I just have to appreciate the filmmaking here. And it's like it's not just like you were saying. It's not just some movie that like it's not like The Godfather, which a lot of people love, where it's just, a certain group of people only like it. Like the everyone likes Home Alone like you were saying. There's rare occasions where people don't, but it's like perfect for families to watch, perfect to watch with any friends, any gathering, any setting. Home Alone's a
Yeah.
go-to Christmas movie, definitely.
Oh, for sure, like, as I said, I've still yet to meet anyone who doesn't like it, and that says something about a movie when normally, no matter what the movie is, someone sometimes multiple people, will have a complaint with it. "Oh, there was this. Oh, it's too long. Oh, it's too short. Oh, it wasn't that funny. Oh, there's this. Oh, I don't like this person in it." But Home Alone is one that there's a lot of Christmas movies, and for me, I'd say it probably comes in at number 3, and Christmas movies, as I said, always make me laugh out loud, like this, Elf, and Christmas Vacation are just I love them all. When my top 3 Christmas movies I'll say top 4. Top 3 are Die Hard, which is actually I'm wearing a Die Hard Christmas
Yes.
shirt, you can't really tell, and then number 2 is Christmas Vacation, then 3, I'll say Home Alone, and 4, Elf, and I every single year, I always switch Home Alone and Elf, but I think I'm just gonna say, just like last year, I think I'm gonna say Home Alone would come in at number 3 because, as you said, there's so much attention to detail, but it tells a really great story with a good message behind it because a lot of these Christmas movies do have good messages behind it. And Home Alone's one that it's apparent, it's there, but when you're younger, you don't fully see it.
Yes, I agree. So yeah, when it comes to Home Alone and my like overall Christmas movie ranking, kind of revealed that it was my number one at the very beginning because I
Yeah.
got excited. But it is my favorite for sure. Followed closely by probably Elf, and then I'd want to say like Die Hard. Yeah, it's definitely a Christmas movie, but pure traditional Christmas movies, I'd probably throw the first Santa Claus in there. Like that one is one I watch yearly. I still find it really funny. I think Tim Allen's great in it, but those kind of all are around the carousel. And then you know what? Home Alone 2, I like to pair it with the first one sometimes, just because I think
I
they're
love
perfect
it too.
companion pieces. So that's how I feel about the second one. It's almost as good as the first.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I really like it too. I was gonna ask you, like, what do you think about it? Because I know that sometimes people normally either love it or they don't like it. Like, I know a lot of people like it more than the first. I don't think that's true, in my opinion, but I still think it's a pretty great movie. It captures a lot of the same spirit. I'll watch it in a few days, and when it comes to the Santa Claus, I haven't actually seen it, but
Oh, okay.
but I'm watching it this Christmas season, and so far right now it's planned a video to come out on the 21st. I have a whole schedule here, but I've had to switch around a lot of things
Yeah,
just
that's
because
how
I'm
it is with YouTube sometimes.
it's just how it is. But yeah, Home Alone is easily it's one of my favorite Christmas movies for sure. It's one that I watch every single year. It features some amazing performances by Joe Pesci, Daniel Stern, and one of the best child performances of all time with Macaulay Culkin. It's a flawless movie in my eyes. It tells a fantastic story with a great message behind it, and I'm gonna give Home Alone an A plus.
Yeah, if I had to get, I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth. There's nothing I can even add. It's a perfect Christmas movie and movie in general, in my opinion. I gave it 5 out of 5 on Letterboxd, which would be 10 out of 10. Perfect movie, chef's kiss, no complaints at all. It's perfect.
Nope. Nope. Yeah, that's how I feel. Like it's such a special movie in my eyes because rarely, I've said this like 3 times already, but rarely do you come across a movie that everyone loves. Like there are barely any other movies that I can name that everyone else loves. Like when I'm thinking about it, I can't think of one that comes to mind that everyone else says, "Oh yeah, this is one of the best."
Yeah, not even Elf. I think there's some Elf hate out there. I think there is.
Yeah, I've seen that. It only has like a 6 point something on IMDb, which I think is insane. Because that's when I think of Christmas, I think of Elf. I think Elf captures the whole Christmas feel. Like that's one you said you watch Home Alone whenever. Elf is one you have to watch in December for sure. And that partially that is just that was like my family's Christmas movie, that
Yeah,
we've watched I think every single year since. So, when it comes to Christmas movies, though, Home Alone, it's on another level just for movies in general too. Like the fact that they made all these, besides two, all these terrible sequels with it says something about the first one. Because normally, not always, but normally when you have a great first movie, or normally when you have a bunch of terrible sequels, it means because there was a great first movie.
exactly. I can think of Jaws, for example, is like one that definitely comes to mind. Probably because like Rocky, I like the sequels, but Jaws is a
Yeah,
franchise I think of as well.
yeah, I still have stayed away from all the sequels of that. I'm gonna see how long I can go for that. And I've heard bad things about most of the Halloween sequels.
Same.
The Friday, or no, not Friday the 13th. Nightmare on Elm Street. I've seen the first three. Second one, yeah, third one's good. So there's a few that it's like it all comes down to that first one. Home Alone easily, like I can see for sure in the next few years it becoming one of my 100 favorite movies. That's how good it is.
It's in my top 20 for of all time.
Really.
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
It's when I think about it, I quote it endlessly when I'm with my friends. We'll just kind of spew random quotes from this movie, and it's like I watch it at least once every December. Sometimes I'll go in a different month in the year and watch it, but yeah, it's one of my favorites of all time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I watch it sometimes multiple times in December. Like
Hmm.
back in 2018, I watched Christmas Vacation like 7 times or something. Like
That's
that is
crazy.
insane. I know. I think it could have been because it was like my choice at school, at home, on TV, and all this stuff. So it's just like, oh yeah, and then Christmas Eve, and then with friends. So it's like there are so much. Home Alone probably like my family, like a bunch of them, like the second one more. They're younger, so I mean, kind of slow a little bit, but well, don't mean that. But so we'll see. Sometimes like we watch this on Christmas Eve. We always have a movie that we watch on Christmas Eve that's different every year. Could be this one this year. You never know. But make sure to follow us both on Instagram because almost every time I watch a movie, I post about it on my story and give a little the slider things to say how much you like it. And yeah, make sure to for sure subscribe to Chris from YouTube. Follow him on Instagram, Letterbox, TikTok because tell
TikTok.
them about TikTok. Tell them about
Yeah.
TikTok.
Yeah. First, I want to say thank you for having me on talking about Home Alone and Kevin McAllister. I never know if it's going to be in frame for
I think
Skype
it's
because the
like
way it is. It's like,
here. I
there
don't
we go.
really. It's
We'll do
always weird.
this. Has to be in the
Yes.
frame now. Thanks for having me on. Home Alone is the creme de la creme of Christmas movies. Sometimes I say that word because I want to sound like a pretentious guy. But you could find me on YouTube at Filmstocked, Letterbox Filmstocked. Basically, all the social medias is Filmstocked. Twitter, ChrisBowie15. I rarely use it, but I have it. And TikTok at Chris.Bowie. I'm posting four to five times a day. It's gonna be hard for me to do, but I'm gonna do it because I posted a video that got 500 likes, and now I've made a promise, so I'm doing that. So follow me over there if you want. There'll probably be a lot of clips from YouTube videos, and yeah,
That's what I
thanks
do.
again. Yeah,
Ah,
thanks again for
oh
having me
yeah.
on.
Thanks for joining me. It's always fun. And next month on my channel, we are going to be talking about something totally different than this. We're going to be talking about either our top 5 or 10 favorite songs by the Foo Fighters. So completely different from Home Alone, but make sure next month to come back for that. I think I'm liking these, monthly videos. If you haven't already, check out our Hamilton spoiler review, Sweeney Todd, and Les Mis. I think that's all of them and Les
Yeah.
Mis. And the Les Mis one is on Chris's channel. The other two are on mine. But again, thank you all for watching, and thank you once again, Chris. And I'll see you guys next time. Over and out.